everyone, and welcome to another episode of Insights from Tibii podcast. My name is Geoff Potter, and I have the pleasure of introducing you to some amazing human beings with many inspirational stories to share. Tibii truly believes that everyone in this world deserves to live their best life. By sharing the positive experiences of others with you all, we hope that your life can be enriched also. Before I introduce today's guest, I'd like to take a moment to do Tibii's welcome to country. In the spirit of reconciliation, Tibii acknowledges the country's traditional custodians throughout Australia. We honour their connections to land, sea and community. We respect the stories, traditions and living cultures of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples on this land and commit to building a brighter future together. We also acknowledge all people who have lived experience with disability. Their voices are essential in the development of our work. Today's guest is Kylie Tansley. Kylie has written a series of short stories in a book called The Journey of Transformation, Reflections on Recovery, and that's been published by Life Without Barriers. This was written under her former name of Kylie Harrison. She has written some inspiring poetry, has worked as a community peer worker, and has been an NDIS participant for about the last 4 years. Kylie's also a stand-up comedian, which certainly resonates with me, being a bad dad joke man. We all need to have a good laugh more often. I know that Kylie will provide some great insights into the challenges and the available help in the mental illness space. Hi Kylie, and welcome to our podcast, Insights from Tibii.
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity.
So Kylie, what inspired you to actually work in the disability sector?
Well, I started my journey with mental health in 1999 with a volunteer work that I did with a group called Amigos. From then I did my Certificate 2 in Community Services and did my placement at Club 84. I was fortunate then to get a traineeship with Life Without Barriers and started my journey as a paid peer worker. I worked with Life Without Barriers for 14 years. As part of this job, I did speeches in the community, including uni and TAFE students, library staff and also police. I wanted to help people and use my lived experience into something positive.
So Kylie, human beings, we all have a why in our life. If you don't mind me asking, what's Kylie's why?
Well, sometimes it's hard to put into words, but I believe since I'm a published author, first book being poetry, my why is to reach an audience of as many as possible with the hope that sharing the lived experience in a creative way can be healing and also that recovery is possible. And the third book is waiting to be published.
So you got a third book coming up?
Yes. The first book I did in 2014 called Pendulum, and then as the one you've mentioned before as the Journey of Transformation, and now this one because Pendulum had the last poem, The Light in Tomorrow. So now I've called the third book The Light in Tomorrow.
I guess we all face challenges, but what are some of the challenges that you've had to face?
Well, I've had bipolar disorder and also PTSD for 30 years. I was in high school when I got unwell, and nowadays it's really the anxiety that I'm left with, the depression, especially in winter. So it's hard to eat well and exercise and stuff like that. You really have to push yourself. But I think if you face the little things, you'll be able to face bigger things.
What is it about winter?
Seasonal affective disorder. So that's another one of my diagnoses. So it just makes me harder to get out of bed, harder to eat properly and do the right thing. So it is much more difficult for me in winter.
We hear so much about self-care these days.
Yes.
There's so much burnout in different jobs, and I don't think it really matters what sector you're actually in. Burnout is a thing. So self-care seems to be the latest buzzword.
Definitely. And I think self-care is very important. I like to have a bath. I like to cook some food, see my friends. I like to go to church and pray. I like to have dinner, and I like to talk to people who really care, especially if I'm becoming unwell. Often it's people who actually suffer from mental illness themselves that help me along the way.
So is it fair to say that those people who have got mental illness themselves probably have a better understanding of Kylie?
And I've actually got a number of friends that have mental illness and a number of friends that are peer workers. So that's really good because then we can debrief with each other. I also debrief with my NDIS support. It's really good to focus on how we interact with each other. I mean, I might just be at work and decide I'm going to ring a certain person to get some support.
If people are actually struggling, if they don't reach out, that could be worse for them?
Yeah, reach out. That's a huge thing. It's hard to ask for help because you think that I'm weak, I'm not good enough. I definitely catastrophize. I definitely say, this is hard, and then it gets harder and harder, and then, you start to think really bad thoughts. You don't want that to happen.
No, often I think perception becomes reality then too.
Yeah, and it's really difficult.
So tell me, you're a stand-up comedian?
Yeah.
So what's the value of a good laugh?
It is amazing. It makes you think about the lighter side of mental health. So I'm an amateur stand-up comedian, for sure. And I joined a group called Cracking Up for people with mental illness who wanted to learn how to be comedians. In 2010, it was such a good opportunity. We actually got to work with tutors who were or are stand-up comedians themselves. Our show was called Laughter is the Best Medicine. And then I did my own show. So I actually worked with a tutor that I chose, and I did an hour show for 2012.
Who's been the most memorable person in your life, and why have they been the most memorable?
Okay, so by far the most memorable person in my life was my dad. He actually passed away not that long ago. It was really hard because he was like my biggest fan. He was the front row at all my gigs, laughed and laughed. He was fantastic to make laugh because he just laughed. And I believe I got my humour from my dad. He also helped me when I was sick. And as a teenager, I was hitchhiking. And he was like a detective when I was manic and always got me to hospital in safety. So he really helped me in those dark days.
I'm guessing there was not the same navigation devices around in those days either.
No, teenager years, all right? It was a while ago.
What led you to apply for NDIS funding?
So before NDIS days, I was not in a good way. I was constantly getting unwell. I kept being called into the system as a revolving door client, doomed to going to hospital. At first, I got rejected by the NDIS, and I felt like the process was hard because it sort of hurt my self-esteem and my worth, and I unfortunately got sick again. But when I found the process and some people that helped me to get accepted, when I got accepted, I felt like I'd won the lotto.
So where did you actually get your support from?
Things started to fall in place for me when I got my plan and my goals sorted. I met a few different workers and I found a really good support coordinator. Some did not really fit. I found a little bit unprofessional. They weren't for me. So I kept looking with the support of my support coordinator, and I kept looking and I kept looking. And then I got a recovery coach and other supports fell into place. I was like in the driver's seat, for the first time, directing my team to better support me. I found the strengths of the support workers. One was good at cleaning, so that helped. One is good at communication and sorting my cluttered house. One is good at car confidence and teaches me skills to reduce my driving anxiety. I found someone who liked gardening. I got a writing mentor to help with the editing. Personal trainer, counsellor, people who helped me. And so now I have this amazing NDIS team and I've never felt more supported.
For other NDIS participants out there listening,
yes,
or those that are looking at trying to access the NDIS
yes,
to get funding, what's your advice?
I could go on and on about that, but I would say go for it. If you get rejected, try again. Get a professional who helps you with the words and helps you with the application, and never give up. A lot of people try to tell you can't do this or that. But I say believe in yourself and find the right support.
The NDIS to you has been probably a challenging situation to begin with,
Yes.
but I'm hearing that it's probably been life-changing.
Yeah, especially for my family, because they were my carers. They were only people that would help me when the mental health people wouldn't. I had to fight to get my own support. And I never even dreamed that you could actually have your own support. I just got other people in, and I got as many as I could and then worked out which is the one that fits me. I got to choose 3 different support coordinators. And so I interviewed them. And then from there, I went and interviewed more support workers. Like, for a while there, it was hard because I didn't have the support. But as time went on, like now, 4 years on, it's amazing.
So the word persistence would be up
I
top?
think so, yeah. I think my workers have helped me be resilient as well. And really, I feel blessed that I've got people helping me, and that NDIS have funded that. Some people think, oh, well, you're working, you're this, you're that. I'm like, well, I still need support for myself.
Tell me, what would be the best way for people to actually be able to get hold of your book, or what would be the best way of contacting you, Kylie?
So you can buy my book, Pendulum, through Gin and Dara Press, which is my publisher. That's a good way.
Okay. And have you got any stand-up comedy gigs coming up?
Well, when I do my next book launch, I'll do stand-up comedy as part of that. I thought I'd share the first opening line I've got.
Go for it.
What's the difference between a mental patient and a psychiatrist? Not much. They can both think they are God. Although one gets paid well, the other does volunteer work. Very reflective on myself.
Okay. The name of that book again, the third one?
The Light in Tomorrow.
The Light in Tomorrow. So we're getting rid of the darkness.
That's it. You can't find the light at the end of the tunnel unless you've walked in darkness for a while.
It is amazing what you have achieved so far.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to mention?
Just that recovery is possible. Years ago I wouldn't have believed it. You're the expert in your own illness. I want to get to my normal. And if I can get there, then it's amazing.
Kylie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you as our guest today on the Insights from Tibii podcast. Tibii looks forward to bringing you many more inspirational moments going forward. In the meantime, you can check out our socials on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn for more tips relating to the disability sector. Please refer to our website, tibii.com.au, tibii.com.au, to find out more information on the change that is needed. Tibii would also like to share with you our motto, which is by the Persian poet Sadi Shirazi. Human beings are members of a whole in creation of one essence and soul. If one member is inflicted with pain, other members uneasy will remain. If you have no sympathy for human pain, the name of a human you cannot retain. Until next time, this is Geoff Potter presenting the Insights from Tibii podcast. Thanks for listening.